So today I am announcing my candidacy for Mayor of Birmingham. Along with me today I have several families that have been affected by violent crime here in Birmingham. And I also have a organizer that has done such a tremendous work in our area, No More Tears. And so we have Ms. Tina Sanders, who's with us this morning. We also have Ms. Mamie Easley. And then we have a young lady who's going to be talking about her son, his experience, and how it resulted in terms of in Birmingham.
Why are you running for mayor?
I am running for mayor of Birmingham because 47% of my commission district is Birmingham, and Birmingham is dying. We have to admit that. We've had over 930 reported homicides. We know that we have less than 50% operating of our police system. In addition to that, we're listed as one of the top 10 most violent cities in the country. And we went from number one when I left the city council in I'm trying to get it all together in there. All right, so can I take two?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, yeah, because I want to be right. I don't want you to have to chop it up. I am running for mayor of the city of Birmingham because 47% of my commission district is the city of Birmingham where I live. And we know that Birmingham has a lot of violence that has taken place. We're over 930 in terms of bodies. We've had over 2,000 aggravated assaults. We once were number one, and now we're number 4 in the state in terms of population. In addition to that, we know that our police department are functioning less than 50%. That means half of our police department is gone. And so that's the reason why I'm running for mayor, because I know that Birmingham can be a great place. We can go back to being number one. We can go back to having a quality of life, but it's going to require work. It's going to require a leader who is going to lead our community in the right direction.
And for background, we know that you're serving currently with the Jefferson County Commission. You've also been on Birmingham City Council. Can you explain your background a little bit?
Sure. I started off as a neighborhood officer before I became a city council member in 2009. In addition to that, I served for 9 years at the city of Birmingham as a council member. Went on over to the county commission, and I've served there now for a total of 6 years. And it is because of that experience and the know-how, I know what is required to be the mayor. I know the power of the mayor. And I know that some of the things that we're hearing right now that we're saying can't be done, the Mayor-Council Act, especially the Mayor-Council Act of 2016, allows the mayor to solve and to fix the city's problems. We just got to have the willingness and the leadership to be able to do that.
What do you think you could do differently than the current mayor and administration?
Well, one of the things that I would do differently than the current leadership is that you have to admit when something's not working. You can't make wrong right, and you can't fix what you're not willing to admit is a problem. We have a violent crime problem in Birmingham, and it's going to take the enforcement from the mayor. You're going to have a police chief that is working with the mayor, and you got to have a police department that's willing to protect and to serve the citizens that we know are the reason why we're here. They're not just voters, they're taxpayers. And so that's the reason why we know that a lot of what we're saying that cannot be done, you have a leader and a fighter in me. I know that we have to protect our city assets. One of the assets that we lost in 1999, and now we're looking at, we lost control just recently, is our Waterworks Board. But that's not just the end of it. You have a House bill that is already pending in the legislature to take over our police department, to also probably be looking at our Birmingham Airport Authority. We have got to be serious about what it is that we're going to do, and we got to do it. We can't just be on social media and convincing people that these things don't exist. We've got to do the work, hire the necessary people in order to fix the city's problems, and we definitely got to run the city as a business on a day-to-day basis. Quality service is what we've got to have for our citizens, and that's what they deserve.
Public safety your number one priority going into this?
Public safety is our number one priority. As a county commissioner, what I've learned is that those cities that we know are successful and they're prospering, they invest in those areas that we know that are the key components to our livelihood, such as when you're talking about public safety. If people don't feel safe where they live, they're not going to feel safe where they work. Businesses are not going to come to the city. Your economic base, in terms of your tax base, is going to shrink, and that's what's happening in Birmingham. The second we're talking about is state takeovers of city assets. That's important. We got to fight to protect it. And lastly, we got to empower businesses who employ our local residents. That's important because as our tax base grows, we're able to provide more city services.
And I have to ask, out of all the locations in Birmingham that you could make this announcement, why here?
Well, this is an example of much of the blight that is happening across Birmingham. We have a small section of Birmingham that is faring well, but most often when we talk about violent crime, you're standing in an area where most violent crime occurs because this is what the community looks like. You have blighted properties, you have properties that have already been reported, weeds that are overgrown. We know that we have a law in place in terms of the city's ordinance to be able to address it, but we're not doing it until it gets to be an election time. Election year services, that's what this previous mayor talked about. This is what's happening in the city of Birmingham. So we're choosing this location because we know that it needs to be more attention that is given to areas that are often overlooked.
In addition to public safety and blight, which you talked about, what else would you like to see done?
What I'd like to see is the quality of life in Birmingham change for the better. And it can change for the better because you got to have a leader that's willing to take the laws, make sure that those laws that we already have on the book, make them work. You got to make the people in your community know that they are safe. The Mayor Council Act 4.06, it allows for the mayor to enforce those laws that we already have, including weed abatement. We want to make sure that people in the city of Birmingham feel very comfortable in knowing that they can live here, they can play here, they can raise their families here. And that's why we have a mass exodus of people leaving the city of Birmingham, because they don't believe that they can raise their children here, educate their children here, and more importantly, blossom in a community where they live. And we've got to change that, but it's going to require work.
And to my knowledge, we know that Mayor Randall Woodfin is seeking re-election, and there's been two other candidates, I believe, that have announced their mayoral run. What sets you apart from these other candidates?
What sets me apart from any other candidate is the experience that I have as a council member at City Hall. I don't have to have on-the-job training. I've been at City Hall for 9 years. I always spoke up for the people in Birmingham, those that I represented in my district, but more importantly, the entire city. I know city government law. I'm not trying to learn that. In addition to that, I know that as a county commissioner, I know what we can do when we're talking about regional alliances. You've got to work with every level of government, and that's not just including law enforcement. That also includes the prosperity in terms of the economic development of the community. When I look at the city of Birmingham in 2017, when I stood with the current mayor, it was always for the growth and development of all 99 neighborhoods and making sure that we had a cohesive government that allowed for every community to grow and to flourish. 7.5 years later, we're still talking about that. We're still not doing that, and we're still not applying what we already have in terms of our laws to make it happen. And I know that it can happen. We just have to have the courage, the will, and the desire to want to see all of Birmingham grow and prosper. And when Birmingham prospers, obviously, the region, it prospers as well.
So whether you win or don't win, what happens with your role
As a county commissioner, I will remain as the county commissioner, but we're looking forward to winning. We know that Birmingham traditionally will elect a mayor for 2 terms, and now everybody's going to have to stand on their record. You have at this point 3 elected officials who are running, and all of us have to stand on our own record. And I'm willing to stand on my record And I would challenge anyone else who is already elected to stand on your record. Putting one another down is not what the people are looking for. What the people are looking for are solutions. And that's what our campaign is offering. That's what my leadership is offering, because that's what people know me for, getting results, not just talking about people, because small minds talk about people. And we know that visionaries talk about ideas. And that's what we're talking about, making those ideas and bringing those dreams into a reality.
And then we're going to go back a few years. How would you address anyone who has any concerns about the 2013 ethics violation involving the use of city resources?
What happened years ago was nothing more than political bullying at its best. But we are over that now. And that's no longer an issue for us.
And kind of going off of that, are you able to explain the discrepancies noted in the 2021 ethics complaint regarding campaign finance disclosures?
I don't know anything about that.
What measures are you taking and have you taken to ensure compliance with election laws?
Okay. So what our campaign has always done, we've been transparent about everything that we do. What was lodged in 21 was basically an attempt by the mayor's camp, the current mayor's camp, to discredit about a sign. And all it needed to say was paid for by a particular group. And so what we have done and what we did back then was that we check with our state laws, and we're making sure that we're in compliance. And everything that we do, we will comply with the law.
If anyone has any concerns about any of this, how do you plan to build back that public trust?
We've always had the public's trust. And that's one of the things that people know that I am good for, and that's my word. I have 5 cities that are under my direct leadership in terms of as a commissioner, even though I preside over 34. And there's not one elected official that could ever say that I said something and I didn't follow up with an action. Everything that we do, we recognize that the legacy that we're leaving in terms of our leadership, it has to be one of integrity, character, and most of all, result-driven. That's the only reason why I am serving the public, because I understand that's my boss. And I have always done a good job in making sure that I represent my bosses and that in return, they get the quality services that they pay for as a taxpayer.
What accountability measures will you put in place to ensure ethical conduct within your organization?
Well, what you do is that you require of your staff what you require of yourself, and that is you got to obey the law. We're not trying to find ways to skirt the law. Everyone that works under a scales administration, number one, they are already ethically sound. These are people that have character. They have a background of doing the work that we're saying that we're trying to do or going to do. But the main thing is that everyone has to comply with the law. If we want the citizens to comply with the law, then we have to be willing to submit to the law. And I've always done that, and I will continue to do so.
When did you make this decision that you wanted to run for mayor?
I would say the decision for me came probably a little bit more closer to the time of recognizing things weren't changing. It was still more of the same. When I talked about the blight 4 years ago, I'm standing in front of a community that has blocks and blocks of structures that are still in blight. I recognize that when our crime rate goes up and our people are leaving, that's what makes you say, listen, I've got to be a part of the solution and not the problem. But I don't have the power. The mayor has the power. Whoever sits in the seat or the office of mayor has the power to be able to fix the city's problems. And I want the general public to know that, because it's very important that they do know. When you say what you cannot do, the law allows for you to be able to do that. So my decision is based upon I haven't seen any results. My city is still dying. I still live here. I'm still advocating for our citizens, but I recognize that I'm limited by county law to do anything in our city.
Anything else I didn't ask you want to add or say?
I want you to talk to them too. I really want to make sure that as we continue to talk about how crime is down, we applaud those efforts, but what we are saying is that it shouldn't take 7.5 years and over 1,000 bodies that haven't been totally reported, but we know at least 930 have. Families are hurting. The city of Birmingham is hurting. And what people want to know in the city of Birmingham is, do you care? What are you going to do to help fix the problem? They don't want us talking about one another. They want us talking about solutions. And that's what we're going to provide. We're going to talk about the police department, how people need to respond in terms of our dispatchers to 911 calls, and how should you do that rapidly. Talking about the police department and making sure from the top down everyone is accountable. Making sure that the public knows that you are at the top of the menu and not at the bottom just because it's election time. We want folks to know that our waterworks, the takeover by the state, there's more of that to come if we continue on with the kind of leadership or lack thereof that we're looking at today. And lastly, we've got to have jobs. We've got to have businesses in our community in order for our city to grow. We've got to grow Birmingham, and we want Birmingham to know that you have a leader that you can trust that will work very hard to make that happen.